Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 2 minutes from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 2-minute time check, stations. Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 1 minute from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 1-minute time check, stations.
On the Hawkeye Sports Network from Learfield IMG College, this is Hawk Talk with Lisa Bluder. Brought to you by Oak Knoll, an active life care community. Also brought to you by Bud Light. Whenever there's a game to watch, there's a Bud Light there. Hy-Vee. Save time and shop online with Hy-Vee Aisles Online. Go to HyVeeAislesOnline.com. Governor's Traffic and Safety Bureau by the Iowa Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau, who reminds you to click it or ticket day or night. And by U.S. Bank, helping individuals and businesses work toward their financial goals. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Now, here is your host, Rob Brooks.
A busy week continues tomorrow afternoon for the Iowa Hawkeye women's basketball team as 13-2 Michigan come to Carver Hawkeye Arena for a 3:30 tip. And then the Hawks will be back on the road to face the Wisconsin Badgers on Sunday afternoon. That's what's in front of the Hawkeyes this week. What was behind them yesterday was a game at Maryland where the 8th-ranked Terrapins defeated the Hawkeyes 111-93. And this game had a lot of facets to it. An unbelievable first quarter where Maryland scored 41 points. Iowa had 21, did some good things offensively, but Maryland just shot the ball so well in that first quarter at 68%. Terrapins were 15 of 22, 8 of 9 from three-point range, and Caitlin Clark was just spectacular in that first quarter as well, and really kind of held the Hawkeyes together because she was the only one that could really get open, and it was mostly by way of the three-pointer. The Hawkeyes in that first quarter yesterday did hit 7 out of 11 three-pointers for almost 64%, and in the first quarter, 7 of 11 at 47%. But for Caitlin Clark, the superlatives and the honors just keep on coming. Of course, this week was for the 11th time this year, which set a Big Ten record, named a Freshman of the Week. Of course, she's been Player of the Week several times as well, and now is the all-time leader at the University of Iowa for freshman leading scorers with 504 points, passing Jamie Pretty, who had an outstanding career at Iowa. And then Caitlin Clark yesterday at Maryland had 8 three-pointers, made 8 three-pointers in the first half, And then Maryland clamped down the defense, and Clark only able to get 5 points in the second half. 1 3-pointer. Did end up with 34 points, but had 29 at the half. The 9 3-pointers made, the most threes in a Big Ten game for the Hawkeyes since Melissa Dixon did it, as she hit 9, so that ties the record back on the 29th of January, 2015. So a spectacular game once again for Caitlin Clark, and other Hawkeyes did some really good things offensively as well, as Iowa shot almost 56% for the ballgame. 35 of 63 three-pointers, 17 of 33, 51.5%. Shot 75% from the free throw line, but just didn't get there much in this type of game where there were so many three-pointers shot. You look at Maryland, 15 of 22 from three-point range. And Coach, I know it's a tough loss, and those never sit well, 111-93. But, boys, you think back, the shooting performances individually on both sides, just something you don't see much of.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Very few times do you score 93 points on the road and walk away with a loss. And that's exactly what happened to us yesterday. And we just gave up too many points in that first quarter. When you give up 41 points in a first quarter, I mean, after that, we beat them. The last second, third, and fourth quarters combined, we won that by 2. So, you know, played them pretty evenly, but just a really bad start to this game. And they were hot. Obviously, we shot the ball very, very well, like you said. You know, 55% from two-point range, 52% from three-point range, 75% from the line. But again, we only get there 8 times to their 19 times. So they have 11 more opportunities to shoot free throws than we do. And that can make a difference. And obviously, when they shoot that well from three-point range, it's hard to beat a team that's ranked in the top 10 in the country on their home court.
Well, I remember talking during the pregame show, you mentioned Katie Benson, the transfer from Harvard, was a big difference maker for the 8th-ranked Terrapins. And you talk about shooting performances. I know you defensively want to get out on her and not leave her open, but 8 three-pointers made in the first half. And like you said, I mean, that is as good a shooting performance team-wise and individually-wise. Throw in Caitlin Clark as well. As you're going to see, these were not just normal three-point shots, especially with Caitlin. I mean, it was 25, 26 feet away.
Yeah, Caitlin's were really impressive. I mean, they were long distance, and, I mean, there was a hand up, and so many times we felt like she should have had 4 points out of them because they gave her no room to land. And so she was landing right on top of the player. Only one time did they call a foul on her three-point attempt. It was one she missed, and then she went to the free throw line and got the 3 free throws. But, you know, we needed to do a better job of identifying where Benson was. I think we let her get loose a couple of times within our zone, and that's, you know, communication and really just not being aware of where the shooter is. But a couple times she had a pretty good hand in her face, and she was able to make them as well. But Caitlin's were really quite impressive.
Yeah, and you think about what she was able to do in that first quarter. Yeah, you're down 20, but the first quarter that she had, at least, okay, hey, you're hanging around. And like you said, came back and played very well in the second quarter, outscoring Maryland. And then in the second half, made a run, caused Maryland to call 2 timeouts and almost got that thing into single digits.
Yeah, got to within 14, but that's as close as we could get. After the Maryland timeouts, they were able to score, and then we turned the ball over, they scored again, and suddenly it's 19 instead of 14, so a big difference there. But, you know, McKenna Warnock had a good shooting performance. She got a couple of big threes for us, but her adjusted field goal percentage shooting in this game was 63%. Monica, again, 100% shooting, 8 for 8 from the field. Again, we need to get her more shots, especially in the first half. I think she had one basket in the first half, so she really came to life in the second half. And then she was also perfect 1 for 1 from the free throw line and led us with 5 rebounds. Caitlin's adjusted field goal percentage shooting was 78%. Gabby's was 50%. Tomi Taiwo came in and did a nice job. Her adjusted field goal percentage 90%. She was 3 for 4 from three-point range. and Sharon Goodman was a perfect 1-for-1 from the field. So we had some really good shooting performances, but needed to do a better job defensively and on the glass. So we only got 26% of offensive rebounds, and they got 39% of offensive rebounds.
You mentioned Monica had some foul trouble in the first half as well, and I know that talking to you pregame where, hey, Monica was a big part of this game plan and big part of what you could do offensively. How did that hurt as she had limited minutes, especially in that second quarter?
Yeah, we definitely thought we were able to possibly go get the ball inside to her. And in the second half, we were able to do that and make them pay a little bit with that high percentage shot. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely hurt us a little bit having her go to the bench, as it always does. Anytime you lose a key player off most teams, you know, you just kind of try to survive, maybe slow the ball that game down a little bit if you can. This game certainly wasn't slowed down, but in some instances, you know, you can try to do that. It's kind of hard with a 30-second shot clock, but, you know, just try to milk that clock and kind of get the time over so you can get that key person back in the game. You know, as a strategy. But again, with a 30-second shot clock, it's a little bit tougher.
Well, we certainly invite your phone calls or your questions on Facebook or also the YouTube chat room. It's youtube.com/Hawkeye Radio Network, and you can click on the live video stream and certainly leave your question in the chat room, as many of you have done all season long. We appreciate your comments each and every week, and we'll certainly get back to the Maryland game, maybe even go back to the Penn State game, as the Hawkeyes won that one. It seems like a while ago, and it was, but outscored Penn State 55-26 in the second half, won that one 96-78, and you think, oh, it's Penn State down toward the bottom of the conference. Well, they just knocked off Ohio State 69-67, a game that ended about 10 minutes ago. So Penn State now 6-10 in the league. So just gives you an idea how good this league is this year, and certainly has been in the last several years. Well, let's go to the phones. Karen from North Liberty. Karen, how are you today? You got that right.
Well, yesterday, even though the first quarter was a bad one, I enjoy so much watching them, and this game was enjoyable to watch. If we could just throw out that first quarter, then that would have been great. My brother in Ohio, he's making all of his friends out there watch the Iowa women simply because he thinks Caitlin is better than the men at shooting the threes. But anyway, I thought Taiwa, how you pronounce her name, was hitting some really good three-pointers, and I think her defense has really been coming along great. And she got in there and got some of those rebounds. But good luck against Michigan on Thursday. This will be the third time that both men and women play the same team on the same day. The other two were Ohio State and Indiana.
Right.
And Lisa, did you get back in time to watch your son win his game? And what is more nerve-wracking, to watch your son play or your team play? Congrats on Caitlin for 30 points, and go Hawks.
Hey, thanks, Karin. You know, I did not get to see my son play Monday. He had his first game in the districts, and they won. So thankfully, they play Thursday. And the Big Ten must have been looking out for me, because when they moved this game to 3:30, my son's game's at 7. I can actually do both, and so I'm pretty happy about that scenario. I do hope that we break this cycle of, you know, the last two times that you said that the men and the women were playing the same team on the same day, basically, we were 0-4 in those games. And so hopefully both the men and the women will turn this around and go 2-0 tomorrow against Michigan with that. Tomi Taiwo is how you say her last name. Taiwo. Tomi, I agree with you, Karin. Came in and did some great things. She's playing well for us defensively, knocking down some good threes for us. I'm really happy with Tomi's play. She's really progressed nicely this year and is getting a lot of minutes because of it. In fact, she had almost 22 minutes in that game at Maryland. So that kind of shows you how we feel about where her game is coming to now.
And too, Lisa, seems like she's getting more aggressive offensively, taking it to the basket, and certainly capable of shooting the three-pointer, as we saw at Maryland. And she's shooting threes at 38% for the year. So the offense is coming along. And then you mentioned a lot of her playing time has come from the defensive end. And I tell you, that Ashley Owusu is about as tough a guard to defend as there is in the country.
I agree with you. A 6-foot point guard that has great strength and athleticism like she does. She just can bully her way down there, basically. I mean, she was a matchup nightmare for Gabby because she was able to post Gabby up, and Gabby's, pretty slight, and she had so much more muscle than Gabby did, and was just able to, like I say, post her up, but also, can beat people off the dribble really well. She's deceivingly quick, explosive on her dribble. So she's one thing she needs to improve on is her three-point shooting. She did hit one against us yesterday, but that's not a strength. What the strength is really for her to get rim to rim or pull up for that 16, 17-foot shot. Very nice point guard, and only a sophomore. Freshman of the year in our conference last year, and very deserved so.
No question about that. And then, watching your kids play. Easy for you, nerve-wracking. He's talked to some parents. It's really tough. Others just really enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy it, but I think I get most nervous when he goes to the free throw line for some reason. I don't know why, but I think then you can stop and think about things. I try not to watch his games analytically. I try to watch them just to enjoy them and not to figure out what each team is doing and what that's a job hazard, right? I want to go and just be able to clap my hands and enjoy, but sometimes. You catch yourself thinking, this could happen or that could happen or the other team's strategy or something like that. But, I keep my mouth shut and I just praise him when he gets home for sure.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's been so nice in his senior year and Solon as a team to have such an outstanding year going. And obviously you want to keep playing here for the next several weeks.
Yeah, they're 20-2. They won the WAMAC East. Really proud of them. That group only won like 6 games last year, so they've done a great job. They have a new coach this year. He's done a great job, Jared Gelpin. And, I'm really glad that Dave's going to end his, high school career on a high note. And, that Thursday, tomorrow night, they play Macokota. They swept them during the year, but, that third time's always a tough one. But we're at home, so that should help. And, I'm just really happy for David, and he's having just a super senior year.
And thanks for the Big Ten for that 3:30 start. I'm kind of liking these afternoon games.
I mean, how could that happen? I've never had a 3:30 start on a weekday ever, and just worked out well. So somebody's looking out for us.
Nothing wrong with that. Let's head back to the phones. Anthony is in Des Moines. Anthony, how are you?
Pretty good, Rob. Coach, how you doing this evening?
Great, thank you.
Coach, I want to congratulate you on your come from behind against Penn State. I did watch you on that game. I also cheered for you. 2 questions. I got one for Rob and one for the coach. Well, with the state tournament going to be coming up on next week, I believe, I was just wondering what recruits are you going to be having to come in as of next season to help out your team better? And, Rob, when's the last time that Iowa has ever come from behind in Hawkeye women's basketball history? Now, guys, I'll hang up and listen, and go Hawks, and good luck against Michigan.
Biggest come-from-behind victory. Okay, well, we'll have to start the research. State tournament next week, Coach.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I don't know. I know. When we played West Virginia, we were down 24 and came back and won that game. I remember my first year here at Iowa, we were down 18 at halftime in the Big Ten tournament and came back and won that game. In fact, that year we won the championship when we came back. We were down to Indiana, came back and won, down to Illinois by 11 at halftime, came back and won, down to Purdue by like 3 or 5 and came back and won the championship. So maybe it's not such a bad thing. That's why we play 40 minutes, but I don't know what the biggest I don't know how you're going to find that, Rob, but with the state tournament next week, I won't be able to attend. It is still a recruiting dead period. And I really can't talk about recruits that were there to watch, as the NCAA frowns upon us talking publicly about who we're actively recruiting. But I will say I'm very excited for Allie Disterhoff, who will be put into the Girls Basketball Hall of Fame, I think on Saturday night. And wow, what a deserving, player. Had a marvelous high school career at Iowa City West, and then a fabulous career for us. Not only a first-team All-Big Tenner, not only was the leading scorer until Megan came along, the leading scorer in Iowa women's basketball history, but also was captain of the academic All-American team and was a two-time member of that academic All-American team. So I am so pleased for Allie Disterhoff and just that she is able to be recognized for her great basketball career she has had.
Of course, a great Hawkeye, and certainly remember at Iowa City West very, very well. Did a lot of those games and those terrific teams that she played for. And Coach, one thing about recruiting, opening up these visits, that's going to be a big thing too, and it seems like the NCAA is just pushing that back. I suppose hopefully this summer, prospective athletes can get on campus and start communicating with people.
Yeah, they pushed it back till May 31st now, continues with a dead period where we cannot be on or off campus for recruiting, so not being able to bring people on campus. And so it'll be interesting to see what June 1st brings along and see if they turn that into a quiet period, or at least we can bring people on campus and maybe, just really bring people on campus would be nice. These kids want to see your campus. They want to meet your players. The first 2 weeks, our players aren't really around because they go home for the first 2 weeks. So really it's only the last 2 weeks. And then you're worried about, having people mingle with your team and what testing is going to look like. Right now, nobody can come into Carver. Nobody can come into Carver unless you're doing daily antigen testing, which all of our athletes are doing that are in season. So, how do you handle that with recruits? And so I don't know. June's going to be interesting for sure to see if we're even going to be allowing people into Carver Hawkeye Arena at that point.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. But May 1st or May 31st, no recruiting, dead period up to that point. While the Iowa Corn Cyhawk Series is on hold for this season, Iowa's corn farmers will continue to stand by this unique series and everything that it stands for, because here in Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. Hawkeye basketball also proudly sponsored by Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Iowa's hometown health insurer for over 80 years. Wellmark reminds Hawkeye fans to stay healthy. That's been a key, and stay in the game by wearing a mask, washing your hands, and getting a flu shot. 1-877-464-2957 if you have a question. Also on youtube.com/Hawkeye Radio Network. You can watch the video stream and leave us a question in the chat room on Facebook.com or the YouTube chat room. We will have more with Coach Bluder on Hawk Talk after the break.
Is your vehicle worn out from winter? Before spring arrives, get a free vehicle inspection from my dad, Brian Sekafetz, and his staff at Dodge Street Tire and Auto. For over 25 good years, they've been your family-friendly, dependable, and honest neighborhood auto repair shop. That's why their loyal customers have once again voted Dodge Street Tire as the best in the area. Don't be left out in the cold. Dodge Street Tire and Auto at the corner of Dodge and Church Street.
Get your ice cold Bud Light Seltzer here. Even though you can't go to the game, doesn't mean the game can't be brought to you now, hip. Just go to budlight.com/delivery. That's budlight.com/delivery.
Give me 2 mangoes.
Coming at you. It's a little short. Ow. Sorry. You know what? I'm just going to walk them over to you.
Whenever there's a game to watch, there's a Bud Light there. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, and Bud Light Seltzer. IRC Beer in Texas, St. Louis, Missouri.
It's back. The return of the prestigious Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, honoring college sports excellence across all competitive divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow along with L Directors Cup on Twitter or online to see which schools will be taking home a first place trophy in June for their season-long success. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, a premier institutional award jointly launched in 1993 by USA Today and NACDA.
Hi, Hawkeye fans. Gary Dolphin here for UPS. Your customers want more from your business. You've got to make more happen, whether they're in Coralville or on the other side of the world. Globally or locally, UPS is building solutions to help businesses give their customers exactly what they want. More made easy. UPS, the official logistics company of Iowa Athletics.
MidAmerican Energy and you, together partnering to change the energy landscape by pioneering money-saving, energy efficiency programs and building a new industry in Iowa, wind energy, all while keeping your rates low. So what's next? We'll keep delivering cost-effective energy efficiency programs while putting money back in your pocket. That's right. You decide how best to spend your savings. That's a partnership good for you, good for the environment, and good for Iowa. Another way we're obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Here in Iowa, corn is more than our livelihood. It's our way of life. We use it to feed our livestock, helping us raise healthy pigs, cows, and chickens. We use it to make ethanol, helping us power a prosperous, clean-burning future. We use it to nourish our families, helping us stay strong generation to generation. And the more we use it, the more it boosts our economy, helping elevate the lives of all Iowans. You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk with head coach Lisa Bluder. I'm Rob Brooks, and you got a good memory, Coach. You mentioned a game that was the largest comeback ever in Iowa history. That was the West Virginia game. You were down 24 with 2:10 left to go in the first half. Well, you certainly remember. And Megan Gustafson had 28, but she had 17 in the fourth quarter and was 8 of 9 from the floor. That not only is the largest comeback in Iowa history, it's also the biggest comeback in Big Ten history.
Wow.
The previous one was 21, and this was a 24-point comeback.
West Virginia team, too.
Both ranked.
Neutral court. That was in the Bahamas a couple years ago, and so it's fresh in my mind. That was one happy locker room afterwards. It was pretty fun. It was a fun trip.
Yeah, 84-81 was the final score, and the Hawks were ranked 12th, and you're right, West Virginia was 20th in the country. And that was a memorable basketball game for sure. Let's head back to the phones. Jerry from Tuscaloosa is calling in. Jerry, how are you? Good.
Okay, my question is over this redshirting. I'm going to call it the pandemic redshirting, but anyway, I'll use as an example Zion Sanders. Now, could she take a redshirt year and just do it academically? In other words, she could. I think she's a pre-med student, so she could take a year academically, and the school would pay for it, and then she would not have to play basketball. The other part of that would be, would she get the meals and the other things that were perks of the basketball players? And then for Lisa, if she'd like to answer, I'm afraid that this Porta, where these kids can transfer, is going to change basketball, ladies basketball, from the student athlete to a athlete student. I'm going to hang up to listen to your answer. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, those are great questions by Jerry, and I agree with him. The portal is scary. There are so many kids going into the portal right now for men's basketball, women's basketball, every single sport. Yep. And now, they can transfer, and a lot of coaches are simply recruiting from the transfer portal. They're veteran players. They're players that, the grass is always greener the second time, right? They kind of learn a lot when they leave a place and go to that second place, and all of a sudden that first place wasn't so bad, but I'm going to make the most of this second place. I mean, you look at how many transfers. I think Maryland, did they have 3 in their starting lineup? For sure, 2.
And 3 total.
Mississippi State transfer, California transfer comes off the bench, and then the Harvard transfer. So
and Tennessee,
3 of their top 8 players are transfer portal players. So it is going to be quite a change in athletics as we know it. And I'm not sure if it's changed for the good. You know, as coaches are kind of laughing that once we go back to going through the line and congratulating people after games, you'll be passing out your business card as you go through the line, and that's going to be the new recruiting way. I don't really like it, but it's something that's here to stay. The blanket waiver, which the NCAA gave all of our men's and women's basketball players, is interesting. So the blanket waiver does not ensure them of a scholarship. It just ensures them of another year of eligibility. So what that means is that if Zion wanted to go somewhere else and play, she could enter the transfer portal, and maybe that other person would give her a scholarship. Neither one of my seniors are planning on doing that. They're kind of both Alexis Civilian and Zion Sanders kind of at the end of their basketball careers and have done a great job for us as leaders. And neither one of them has come to me and said, hey, I want another year of eligibility. And so that's all that it guarantees you is not your scholarship, but another year of eligibility. And so that's going to be interesting how people can handle that because like we have commitments, right? We have 3 kids coming in next year that have already signed. We have 3 commitments from the junior class. Now those haven't signed, but they're verbal commitments between us and the individual. And so there's going to be a breaking point where you can't go over your roster size. So roster management's going to be a little bit tricky moving forward because you're not going to be able to honor scholarships for everybody to have a 5th year. There's just not going to be enough to go around with the commitments and scholarships that you've already signed. So it doesn't make sense, Jerry, especially when we are getting 25 games in, plus our conference tournament and NCAA tournament. Doesn't seem like, I don't know, that we really needed to have this blanket waiver for everybody to get an entire extra year when they're playing the majority of a year. That's just my feeling, but NCAA doesn't always ask my advice on these issues, so we'll just move on with it with what it is. But it's going to be a little bit of manipulation by people, and there'll be a lot more people entering the transfer portal because of this.
Yeah, I think one thing too, and I understand certainly why the NCAA did it, really a blanket for all sports, but I think now we're kind of to the point where maybe should have waited till after the season and then determine, okay, if a team, which would be tough to do too, only played 12 games, maybe those particular players get another year. But like you said, there's going to be so many teams across the country, Coach, that are going to play over 20 games, maybe more than 25. And then, if the season didn't go well, then you go back, okay, we'll give another year of eligibility to all the players. But then you got, like you said, you've got 2 seniors, and I'm sure it's not any different in a lot of places across the country. Will say, hey, you know what, I've had my time. I've graduated, maybe even already taking some grad classes. I don't want to be a 6th or 7th year player, and it's time to move on with life. There'll be quite a little bit of that, too, I would suspect.
I would expect that will happen around the country as well. So, I'm sure the NCAA had reasons that we don't know about for making this blanket waiver, but I agree with you, Rob. It would have been nice maybe to wait and see just how affected the season was by COVID and cancellations before making this decision.
Any talk of increased scholarship totals due to this?
Only for next year. And then after that, you're back down to your maximum number. So for 1 year, you have a grace period of you can carry more than what your roster size is. Now, our roster for women's basketball is 15. For men's basketball, it's 13. So for 1 year, you can go over, but for the next year after that, you have to be at that amount.
Yeah, and I suppose it's up to the individual school, too, whether they want to be able to fund that extra scholarships.
Oh, that's true. I mean, there's, again, it gives you another year of eligibility, but not a guarantee of a scholarship. And so, I mean, schools are going to have to make decisions, especially with all the budget crunches going on. Do you want to invest in that, fifth year, sixth year senior for another year. Probably depends on how much they're contributing to the success of your program, quite honestly. And so, there are some budget issues as well as roster size issues that you have to really contemplate here.
And one thing on the portal, too, because I find this fascinating, and the one thing, too, if you have a coach that comes in, and a lot of times transitions are down programs trying to build it, one place to go is the transfer portal, because in a lot of schools, coaches don't get 5 or 6 years to build within. Their time is limited. Time is shorter than that. And the other part of it is, too, it's hard to recruit players from their sophomore year or freshman year. A lot of time and commitment spent on a high school player wondering if, okay, is this particular player going to commit to us, go someplace else, might waver back and forth, where, okay, you already know somebody can play and bring it in, but there's also drawbacks to that as well, because, boy, you just hard to shuffle those rosters year after year after year. Maybe one or two you could sprinkle in. I'm sure it'll just be different throughout the conference. You're seeing it a lot in the Big Ten. As you mentioned, Maryland, that Mimi Collins that started, transfer from Tennessee. Katie Benson, as we talked about earlier, transfer from Harvard. And Chloe Bibby from Mississippi State. And then Alasia Stiles, one of the first players off the bench, transfer from California. And that's on a top 10 team in the country.
Yeah, 4 of your 6 top players are transfers. I mean, that's but it is a way, it's a strategy, and it's obviously working for Maryland. But I think you're right, Rob. I think it is a way for a new coach to go in and kind of get that instant, quick Band-Aid, right? Like, get those players to come immediately, because recruiting's a little bit different the second time around. The first time around, it's about relationship building, and it takes really years for that. But the second time around, when somebody enters the portal, they're making a decision within a couple of months. So it can be more cost efficient to recruit out of the portal. It can be quicker, and you don't have to spend the time building those relationships, like you said, that can take 2 or 3 years. And coaches don't get that long sometimes. So you're absolutely right, Rob. This is a great way for new coaches that are trying to rebuild a program to really get it done quickly.
Yeah, and if they feel like, hey, I've only got a couple of years to turn this around before the heat really gets on, that might be a route that coaches take. But I don't know if that's sustainable for a really long term. Time will certainly tell. Hawkeye basketball and Hawk Talk brought to you by Iowa's Corn Farmers. You can do simple things to support our Iowa farmers, like choosing E15 or unleaded 88 when you're fueling up at the pump, purchasing corn-fed meat at the grocery store, also filling up your water bottle with safe drinking water from the tap. As Iowans, we are stronger together, and you can go to iowacorn.org to learn more about how you can support Iowa's farmers. Couple things. We will check the scores across the Big Ten on the U.S. Bank scoreboard update. Full slate today. 2 games tomorrow. Of course, Michigan and Iowa, which we will preview in a little bit. And then Maryland is at Purdue. Everybody else playing tonight. And also the bracket came out for the Big Ten Conference Tournament in Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. We'll be back with more Hawk Talk after the break.
It's a commercial, residential, healthcare, or industrial project. Carpenters Union Local 1260 provides a professional and productive workforce on time and on budget. And Union Carpenters also have specialized COVID prevention training to allow for the safest environment possible. Since 1902, Carpenters Union Local 1260 has been building the University of Iowa, and that relationship continues today as a proud partner of Hawkeye Athletics. To find a union contractor and union carpenters for your next job, visit carpentersunionlocal1260.com or call 319-338-1638.
Our Oak Knoll community has survived the pandemic so far with 0 cases of COVID in the more than 400 residents we serve. Nearly all of our residents and staff have been fully vaccinated. I'm Steve Rowe, Executive Director. Thank you to our residents, staff, family members, and business partners for your diligence and sacrifice. Come join our safe life care community. We have apartments available now. Call me at 351-1720 for your private tour.
Staying connected means games can still feel like this, even if they actually sound like this. That's why U.S. Cellular is building a 5G network that works from outside to inside uninterrupted, so you can stay connected even if you aren't at the game. Right now, get unlimited data for just $30 a month. Check out uscellular.com for more info. U.S. Cellular. Data may be temporarily slower than other traffic in times of congestion. Video streams at up to 480p DVD quality. Credit approval and autopay paperless billing required. Additional terms apply.
The Iowa Lottery's new cash game is clearly different.
What? How?
Because you can see right through it.
How can you see through a ticket?
Well, it's clear.
What's clear? I don't understand.
I'm being as clear as I can, just like the new scratch ticket.
Okay, I'm still unclear. How much cash can you win?
$100,000 top prize on the ticket plus $200,000 in Play It Again prizes.
That's a lot of cash.
Clearly.
The new cash game from the Iowa Lottery. The difference is clear. Visit ialottery.com for rules and complete details.
Primary care providers should be able to look at patients, read between the lines, and know something's not right. Hi, I'm Dr. Denise Martinez at University of Iowa Healthcare. 80% of conditions can be treated by a family medicine doctor, so our comprehensive and caring approach is key. And if it turns out to be serious or out of our scope, we'll connect you to the right specialists right away. With experts all across the region, find one near you at uihc.org.
Champions share common traits: integrity, reliability, hard work, and innovation. Your Better Business Bureau knows championship companies. We conduct background checks and listen to consumers around Iowa and Illinois, so we know the true character of these companies. Let the BBB match you with a championship company when you're hiring a contractor, using a business, or need a service. The Better Business Bureau is an Iowa nonprofit serving our neighbors for over 80 years. BBB help and information is free. You'll find us at bbb.org/Iowa.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk with Coach Bluder across the Hawkeye Radio Network. 3:30, Iowa and Michigan tomorrow from Carver Hawkeye Arena. Coach Matsy, who watches every single week, a question for you about Monica Sonato. Once in a while gets into foul trouble. It's certainly important for her to stay in the game, and wants to know how you guys in your very short prep for Michigan, looking ahead to Naz Hillman, who's one of the best players in the country. And she can draw fouls. She's averaging a double-double and certainly right up there for Big Ten Player of the Year.
Yeah, Naz Hillman is really a special basketball player, and only a junior, undersized at the center position because she's only 6'2", but she plays like she's 6'5". So strong. Such great hands, explosive, a monster on the boards. I mean, she's averaging over 12 rebounds a game, and 5.5 of those are offensively. So she gets and also gets to the free throw line 8 times and shoots 80% from the free throw line when she gets there. So she is really scoring in a variety of ways. I mean, she's not an outside scorer. She's going to shoot from 16 feet, but she's going to post up, get rebounds, and drive around you. That's the way she's going to get her points. And she's getting a lot of points. In the last 5 games, she's averaging over 30 points a game and shooting 69% from the field. So just doing a tremendous job. And she's a handful to guard, and it's not going to be just, one person guarding her. We're going to have to mix up our defenses. We're going to have to really bring other people in to try to help a little bit. Now, she's excellent at scoring out of a double, though, or passing out of a double. You think of Megan Gustafson and how many people tried to double Megan. Megan was so good at keeping her composure and being able to pass out of that trap and really getting an uncontested 2 points out of it. So Naz is almost that good. She's good enough that she really does a great job of passing out of traps. And if you want to avoid a trap, you've got to become good at passing out of them. That's the only way that people are going to stop doing it to you. And she's accomplished that. So we have to bring some other things at her, maybe some later traps or some chokes off some other guards on the outside. But she's a handful to guard, and we'll have our work cut out for us inside for sure.
And Michigan has played 15 games, and Hillman has been to the free throw line 120 times and has 77 offensive boards, averaging over 11 rebounds per contest. And we'll talk a little bit about Michigan a little bit later on in the show, because it's interesting, too, with their pause, how they're playing coming off. And just kind of in basketball in general, how teams have been on pause and come back. Most of them have played pretty well. But we can go back to the phones as Audrey is calling in from Emmitsburg. Audrey, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Much warmer this week.
I love it.
Yes, I do too. Yesterday I watched the Iowa-Maryland game, and I watched most of the games on the Big Ten Network. There was a barrage of three-pointers taken and made from both schools. And I also see this in the men's college basketball games also. So do you think it's time to move back the three-point line for both the women and the men? And what would be the pros and cons of this? Thank you, and I'll listen.
Oh, that's an interesting observation, Audrey. The men moved theirs back, 2 years ago, Rob? Was it last year they moved theirs back a foot farther than ours is right now? Right. So you see the double lines on the court. I really think women will move back. This happened earlier. It used to be, the top of the key, 19-9, I think, was the three-point line originally for both men and women, and then the men moved it back a foot. And then there was two lines, and then eventually the women moved back, so there was one line. And then last year the men moved back farther, and so now there's two lines again. I really do think the women will be moving back. In our experience, most of the time, you see a line on the floor, you shoot from behind it. You don't realize sometimes, just that quickly that this is the women's line or this is the men's line. I see very few people making threes while standing on the men's line. I see them really shooting them behind the men's line. So I think it'll happen pretty soon. The downfall of that is, we don't have the dunk in our game. So for us, the three-point play is a really important play. And so the more that we have of those, the more exciting our game is. People like scoring, and they love the three-pointer. And so I don't think we want to make it extremely hard to make that shot because, I think it's such a good part of the women's game. I think also some of the reasons why the men moved it back is because it opens up the paint inside for the post players to, bring out the defense a little bit more because they have to cover more of the floor now with the extended three-point range. So it gives the post a little bit more opportunity to be mobile and score inside the old-fashioned way. And I think that you see that with the women's game as well. The better shooters that you have, the more your defense has to spread out and the more room that you have to occupy or to work inside. And, Monica's shooting a marvelous percentage from two-point range. Let me just look and see what that is. Monica is shooting 67% from the field on the season. It was number one. I don't know if it still is. It was. It probably still is. 67% is amazing. Would she do that without great three-point shooters? That's the question. If she didn't have great three-point shooters around her, everybody would concentrate on her. So definitely having, that great three-point shooters and then moving that line back farther makes people even come out farther. So you can see the strategy here. But I think it'll happen soon. I think that most rule changes are going on pause right now because we have so many other things we're dealing with COVID that we really haven't talked a lot about rule changes to our games just because there's a barrage of other things going on right now.
Well, you're right, Coach. The men's and women's line, there's hardly ever a three-pointer made inside of one line to the other. I don't think they're even paying attention to it. Most of the time, it's there's the Caitlin Clark line, but then with everybody else, they're still 1 or 2 feet behind. And to Audrey's point, 29 made three-pointers against in the Penn State game combined, and then 32 yesterday. There's just so many great shooters now. And how many times during a year does somebody step out of bounds because they're trying to set up for a three-pointer and they got such range that, unfortunately, their heels are standing out of bounds?
Especially that corner three. And you see in the NBA game, they slant it in the corner so that doesn't happen. But for our game, we have, the perfect arch. And it's really hard sometimes not to step out of bounds when you're moving into that three-point corner shot. So we have had quite a few out-of-bounds situations because of that. You're right. They're step on the out-of-bounds line when they're setting up for their three-point shot. Yeah, but interesting concept, Audrey, and I don't know, no immediate plans to move it back, but I think it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many great shooters, and I think if it is moved back, it won't matter. You're still going to see a lot of three-pointers made throughout the country. Hawkeye basketball is brought to you by Bud Light. Whenever there is a Bud Light and Hawkeye game to watch, they go hand in hand, no doubt about that. Looking to downsize from your family home? The new Oak Knoll East Campus is now open and offers many unique amenities for a very active lifestyle. Call 319-351-1720 or visit oakknoll.com to set up your personal tour. Oak Knoll, a proud supporter of the Iowa Hawkeyes. We'll be back and take a look at the scoreboard and also talk a little Big Ten tournament. Stay with us on Hawk Talk.
Get your ice cold Bud Light Seltzer here. Even though you can't go to the game, doesn't mean the game can't be brought to you now here. Just go to budlight.com/delivery. That's budlight.com/delivery.
Give me 2 mangoes.
Coming at you. It's a little short. Ow. Sorry. You know what? I'm just going to walk them over to you.
Whenever there's a game to watch, there's a Bud Light there. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, and Bud Light Seltzer. IRC Beer, beer in Texas, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, Hawkeye fans. Gary Dolphin here for UPS. Your customers want more from your business. You've got to make more happen, whether they're in Coralville or on the other side of the world. Globally or locally, UPS is building solutions to help businesses give their customers exactly what they want. More made easy. UPS, the official logistics company of Iowa Athletics.
Like any winning team, it takes every part of EMC Insurance Companies working together to successfully ensure that our agents, policyholders, and employees can count on EMC. And they do. They count on our broad range of insurance products and services. They count on our superior level of personalized service, and they trust that we will continue to be a financially stable partner, just like we have been for more than 100 years. All of this makes EMC one of the nation's premier insurance companies, and that's something you can always count on.
They say nothing in life is free. Well, we're here to tell you they're wrong. Because when you switch to US Cellular, you can get the latest 5G phones for free with no hidden requirements. Yes, you heard that right. The Samsung Galaxy S20 FE or the Google Pixel 5 for free with no hidden requirements. As in zip, zilch, zero. And the best part is, 5G is included on all plans. So go ahead, make the upgrade to 5G today. US Cellular. Terms and conditions apply. See store or uscellular.com for details.
Here in Iowa, corn is more than our livelihood. It's our way of life. We use it to feed our livestock, helping us raise healthy pigs, cows, and chickens. We use it to make ethanol, helping us power a prosperous, clean-burning future. We use it to nourish our families, helping us stay strong generation to generation. And the more we use it, the more it boosts our economy, helping elevate the lives of all Iowans. You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Get ready for more. Introducing Hy-Vee Plus. Get a Hy-Vee Plus premium membership for just $99 a year and get fuel savings every time you shop in-store and online. Plus, exclusive deals and offers every month. Plus, you can call our Red Line hotline day or night for anything you need. Plus, free online delivery and free express pickup. Plus, a personal online shopper. With Hy-Vee Plus, our plus equals more. Sign up today. Some restrictions apply.
Welcome back. Our remaining minutes, Hawk Talk. We have one more show, and that'll be next Monday, our regular time slot at 6 o'clock. I appreciate everybody listening and calling in and giving us questions in the chat room as well. Let's take a quick look at the U.S. Bank scoreboard because it's a busy night. Women's Big Ten basketball already 2 finals. We talked about Penn State and its victory over Ohio State. Buckeyes 15th in the country, 2-point victory for the Lady Lions at 69-67, and also Rutgers has defeated Michigan State by 10 at 63-53. Rutgers now 11-3, 7-3. Michigan State 12-7 and 7-7. At the half, Minnesota 31, Nebraska 30 from Williams Arena, and Northwestern over Illinois 31-22. And Indiana, Hawks will face the The Hoosiers next Wednesday, Indiana 37 and Wisconsin 23. Hawks and the Badgers on Sunday. Coach, not much of a change, and we've seen the game schedule before, but official now is the bracket for the Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament, March 9th through the 13th at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, Indianapolis. Really the only change, maybe a couple of game times, but now starting on Tuesday with one game, and then a full slate on Wednesday instead of Wednesday, Thursday. So that's really the only difference that I see. You got 12 and 13 on March 9th, and then you go into the 4 games on the 10th. So that's really the big day. You got the day started off with the 8-9 game, and it looks like it'll be an 11 o'clock start East Coast time, so it'll be 10 o'clock Central, which is maybe kind of help playing games at noon and 1 o'clock like you have throughout the last couple of weeks. And we'll take a break here and try to reconnect with Coach Bluder from an audio standpoint. We'll be back and talk Iowa and Michigan. More Hawk Talk coming up.
Riverside Casino and Golf Resort loves a winner. You see it in every game. Play-by-play, everywhere you turn. Whether it's hitting the tables, spending time at your favorite game, or just relaxing, enjoying everything that Riverside Casino has to offer, you can bet we have something for everyone. So make every gameplay count. Your best bet is Riverside Casino and Golf Resort, located just 12 miles south of Iowa City on Highway 218. Let the games begin.
Expert care for sports injuries means getting back in the game sooner and stronger. I'm Dr. Brian Wolf, Director at University of Iowa Sports Medicine and Team Physician for the Iowa Hawkeyes. You should never play through pain. That's why our sports medicine experts are here for you with same day, next day, and evening appointments. For imaging, therapy, or surgery, choose the team the Iowa Hawkeyes choose. Schedule a visit at uihc.org/sportsmedicine.
Feel the power. Feel the speed. Feel extreme. Hawk fans, get extreme. Powered by Mediacom. And experience streaming so real you can feel it. Whether you're live streaming the game or streaming your favorite series. With supercharged speeds up to 1 gig and powerful whole home Wi-Fi, you're in it. Our 100% gigabit technology network was built to take you further. Get ready to feel it. Extreme. Powered by Mediacom.
This isn't a grilled cheese I'm making. It's a melty masterpiece that deserves a kitchen worthy of greatness.
Looks like my porch is full of packages again. It also looks like my compulsive buying needs to change to compulsive saving.
As I sit here on this couch, I decided to make some changes, starting with this couch.
I'd love to be looking out my window at a beautiful backyard instead of a brick wall. Time for a new house.
Whatever your passion, U.S. Bank can help turn it into your next pursuit. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Our Oak Knoll community has survived the pandemic so far with 0 cases of COVID in the more than 400 residents we serve. Nearly all of our residents and staff have been fully vaccinated. I'm Steve Rowe, Executive Director. Thank you to our residents, staff, family members, and business partners for your diligence and sacrifice. Come join our safe life care community. We have apartments available now. Call me at 351-1720 for your private tour.
MidAmerican Energy and you, together partnering to change the energy landscape by pioneering money-saving, energy efficiency programs and building a new industry in Iowa, wind energy, all while keeping your rates low. So what's next? We'll keep delivering cost-effective energy efficiency programs while putting money back in your pocket. That's right. You decide how best to spend your savings. That's a partnership good for you, good for the environment, and good for Iowa. Another way we're obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Hopefully we've reestablished with Coach Bluder. Jamie from Iowa City has a quick question to end the show. Jamie, how are you?
Actually, it is Janie and her mom,
Jan Jensen calling in.
Okay, good.
And we have a kind of a quick question for you, Coach Bluder. A lot of people have been asking me, how will the NCAA committee, and maybe you've talked about this, look at COVID with like a team like Rutgers who's shut down versus someone who hasn't been shut down at all?
Well, that's a loaded question, Jan, and I don't know if we have enough time to go into it right now. But
it'll be good conversation for next week, too.
15 games. And so that's what we need to do is make sure that Rutgers gets 15 games in. They're playing well coming off of their COVID shutdown. Same thing with Michigan. They just need to get a couple more in order to get to that 15. How they're going to seed it, I'm not sure because, some people are playing 25 games. Some people are playing 15. Not really sure if it's going to be an equal playing test. I know we have the net that we can measure from, but I think it's going to be a lot of eye tests this year when the selection committee is watching on TV. So we're lucky we have the Big Ten Network and we get to be on TV quite a bit.
Yeah, this will be a good conversation to continue next Monday. Coach, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Go Hawks.
Thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow for Iowa and Michigan. Good night.
On the Hawkeye Sports Network from Learfield IMG College, this has been Hawk Talk with Lisa Bluder, brought to you by Oak Knoll, an active life care community, also brought to you by Bud Light. Whenever there's a game to watch, there's a Bud Light there. Hy-Vee, save time and shop online with Hy-Vee Aisles Online. Go to HyVeeAislesOnline.com. Governor's Traffic and Safety Bureau by the Iowa Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau, who reminds you to click it or ticket day or night. And by U.S. Bank, helping individuals and businesses work toward their financial goals. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. The preceding has been a Learfield IMG College presentation of the Hawkeye Sports Network.